Hello, it's Andreas here from IBN Immigration Solutions. I want to give you another update on South Africa. Lots of confusion here in the last days in the press, Home Affairs, etc. I have to say that if everybody would have just read the press statements from the Department of Home Affairs, I think there would have been less confusion, because the press statements and the direction issued on the last day in September were actually pretty clear. So in the following 2 or 3 minutes, I want to give you a very clear indication of what is allowed, what is not allowed, and it's actually quite simple now. And there is definitely clarity after lots of emails to Home Affairs and answers from legal, etc. But I have to say Home Affairs has been quite responsive and has been quite supportive in clearing the uncertainty. All right, so what are the rules for South Africa now? Okay, so rule number 1, what is very clear is that the nationals whose visa were revoked, right, in March, these were UK, US, Germany, but not the Netherlands, for instance, these visas are reinstated. Okay, so these visas are still valid, they are fine, you can come back to South Africa with that. Number 2, any national, even from high-risk countries, can now apply for long-term visas at the missions. The missions are open, they're accepting applications, and any long-term visa will be accepted even in high-risk countries. So if you're a US citizen, you want to come to South Africa on a work visa, please apply, you can do so. Okay. Next category would be business travel. Okay, that caused the most confusion. What is business travel? What is not business travel? Some internal communication defined business travel with work visas. That has all been clarified. Business travel is actually what the word says. Business travel is, so you want to come to South Africa for a business meeting, then that is business travel. Okay. For that, you can also come if you're a national from a high-risk country, but you need a pre-clearance. Okay. There is a certain procedure, certain documents which needs to be submitted to an email at Home Affairs, and in practice, it should not take longer than 5 days. That's what we were told. However, we were also told from Home Affairs, from Veronica Loving, that actually they have been flooded with requests, and that time is now at 10 to 15 days. So business travelers from high-risk countries, and now I'm talking about the high-risk countries of the list from the 30th of September, so roughly 60 countries in the world, they need to have pre-clearance, but they can come for business travels. Second important point is, short-term work visas, 11.2, they're deemed business travel, okay? They're not deemed long-term permits, they're deemed business travel, so you actually need the pre-clearance, which makes for me no real sense, because the long-term visas you apply at the missions, so what you do with an 11.2, the long-terms you don't need pre-clearance, but for 11.2s you need. So there's one little bit of uncertainties around the 11.2s, which I hope they will also drop the requirement of the pre-clearance. Now for the business travelers, and that's the news which went through the airlines, etc., etc. So the business travelers, if you come from a high-risk country, as I said, you have the pre-clearance, you fly to South Africa. You still don't have a visa, right? So what Home Affairs did is they did reinstate the visas waiver, which they took away in March. So you will all remember that certain nationals could come to South Africa and get visa on arrival. Germans, Netherlands, UK, typically European, US, etc. They get visa issued at the border. Now that was taken away, so people can't just fly in and demand entry. That has been reinstated. Okay, so the business travelers who have the pre-clearance, they can come now to South Africa and get a visa on entry. Obviously, that is only applicable to nationals of nations which had the visa exemption. Okay, so for these people, nothing has changed. It's all back to normal, like it was before COVID, except for the pre-clearance. That's really the big news, and that's the whole confusion with the airlines, etc. On tourists, there's no confusion. It's very simple. If you are a national on the list of high-risk countries, you cannot come as a tourist for leisure travel. If you're not on the list, like the Germans or the Scandinavians, they can get into a plane and they can come to South Africa. You, of course, need a PCR test. You still need to adhere to the normal safety precautions and protocols, but this has nothing changed. One important and last message is, if you are a national of a high-risk country, so let's make an example, at the moment you're a Dutch national, but you live in Germany, or you spent your last 2 weeks in Germany, to be precise, 10 days, then you're deemed to come from a low-risk country. Okay, so a high-risk national who lives or stayed for more than 10 days in a low-risk country is deemed to be a low-risk country. Okay, so they can actually also come. Yeah, so that's pretty much it to South Africa. So in short, to be honest, we're pretty much back to where we were, except for mass tourism. Mass tourism is still not possible for high-risk countries. And one last comment on that, I also personally expect that this list will change very soon. We cannot build our economy and our tourism when markets like the Netherlands, France, UK, and the US are blocked for tourism. That really is a problem. So I do foresee that the pressure will mount and that there will be some changes in the near future. But yeah, but it's pretty much back to normal. The only thing you need to think of is the clearance for business travelers. The rest is all back to normal. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.